How's everyone doing? Great, great, great.
Russell, what do you remember about that 2016 game there late in the season? It was cold, and.
Oh, we didn't win it. That's what I remember. But that's a few years ago. I think for us now, the team that we have now going into this game, matchup, playoff game, we're excited about the opportunity. We're excited about how we've been playing on the road, and obviously going into a tough environment, we got to play great football against a very, very good football team, and that's really our only focus right now.
What could you maybe learn about that experience, though, to apply it so you do play great on Sunday?
I don't know. I don't really transfer it like that. I think for us, it's really just about this moment, this next play, this game. I think for us, going on the road, we've really learned how to capture that idea of playing great on the road, and hopefully we can use it for this game and play a great football game.
What do you relish about playing Aaron Rodgers?
Say again?
What do you relish about playing against Aaron Rodgers?
Well, obviously Aaron's been a great quarterback ever since he stepped into the NFL. He's a Hall of Fame quarterback, a guy just great ability. He's clutch. He's great in that moment. So the game's never over. So we got to play 4 quarters, a great 4 quarters, and maybe even extra time. You got to be ready for that too. So, I think for us to be able to go up, and go to Green Bay and play in Lambeau and everything else for a playoff game is going to be a great matchup. They have a great defense. They got guys, flying around in defense line in particular, and so we gotta be ready to go. And in terms of Aaron, like I said, the game's never over.
You mentioned their defense, their pass rush is much improved this year. Just what do you see out of those guys?
Well, the Smith brothers have been lights out all year. They got a bunch of sacks between the two of them. They've been able to get after the quarterback. They cause havoc in the run game. I mean, they're as good as it gets up front. And so we got to be ready to roll. The good thing for us, we've played a lot of great defensive lines, throughout this whole season. Really, especially in the past several weeks here, and it's been I think our offensive line's done a great job, and battled, and even last week, going against Graham and Cox, for those guys, they're as good as it gets too. So these guys, they bring a lot of speed, a lot of power, a lot of quickness. So you got to know where they are at all times.
DK's game last week, it would make sense that the Packers would play extra attention to him. Do you say anything to DK about maybe not overdoing it or what to expect after everybody is looking at him now?
Well, I think just stay the course, just keep working. He's been great for us all year. DK has. He's got tremendous work ethic. It comes easy to him in that sense because, it's just a natural thing for him. And I think that more than anything else, I think that when the lights come on, he always shows up. And so we're excited about having him, this week, obviously out there with us, once again, and him making plays, and we'll see what he can do.
Do they look real different schematically, defensively, with the new coach than they did in the past times when you played them?
Well, when we played them just recently, they were very similar. Coach Mike Benton, he was there, and I think that their defense is very similar. Obviously, they play 3-4, but I think with the Smith brothers and all the activity that they've been causing, definitely looks a little bit different. They've been able to get after the quarterback like crazy all year. So we got to make sure that we slow that down as best as we can and get key first downs when we need to, and especially in third down situations.
Does that Minnesota game, the playoff of the 2015 wild card round, I mean, does that, like, the memories of like how miserably cold that was make you look at this and be like, it's no big deal, this is nothing compared to that?
Yeah, that Minnesota playoff game, that was as cold as it gets. I think it was -10, on the thermometer. It was -31 or whatever, wind chill. It was pretty cold, so I don't think it gets any colder than that. So for us, it's just another football game. We had to go outside today. It's pretty chilly out here today, so just playing football outside, it's what we love. It's what you do ever since you're a little kid, in the snow and playing in it. So if it snows, we'll be ready. If it doesn't, it doesn't. And the ball will still spin the same, and we'll still make plays.
In the NFC Championship game against the Packers, Luke Wilson says he still hasn't had the guts to ask you if he was the intended receiver on that 2-point conversion. Was that the most unlikely pass you've ever thrown?
Well, funny thing is, on that play, breaking the huddle, I told Luke, be ready. May need you. And it was definitely going to him. I didn't know where he was. I just threw it kind of near him, and because I was kind of spinning and running, and Julius Peppers is chasing me down. That's never a good thing. And just trying to give Luke a chance, and sure enough, he comes down with it. So that was a remarkable play, one of the best in Seahawks history.
Did you look before you threw?
Yeah, I peeked him, but I didn't get to look at him for a long time, because they're about to hit me. But I knew he was over there, and sure enough, he was. And he did a great job getting open. He wasn't really supposed to be over there, so he's really supposed to keep blocking, keep blocking. I told him, hey, if I start scrambling, be ready.
How much did that game reinforce to you that anything's possible from that coaching mentality?
Yeah, I think that that game's a great definition of that. It's like I've said before, and I don't like going back to be honest with you, too far, just because I think it's about this team this year. We only have really 3-4 guys that were on that team, but I think that just it's a great example. I think just in NFL history and just life in general that the game's never over. And just to be able to battle and continue to go for it, and even if you're down by a bunch with 2 minutes and 50 seconds to go, the game is still not over. And I think that's a testament to who we are as a team, as a culture, as players. And so we may need some magic this week, we may not, but we'll see what happens.
Pete Carroll mentioned the other day that Lambeau's is as tough as it gets when it comes to road games, just other than the weather that was talked about. What makes playing there hard?
They have great fans. Obviously, me playing at Wisconsin, I know how good those fans are there. So the Packers fans are as good as it gets. The Seahawks fans, Packers fans, they travel well. Those two teams. So it'll be one of the best matchups for sure. It's always a good one, and we'll look forward to it.
You mentioned, I think after the game on Sunday, I might have missed when you mentioned it before, but that you give your guys a scouting report on Thursday or Wednesday. Then DK was mentioning that you kind of go through it with him on Thursday. How long have you been doing that? Can you share some of the mechanics of what that process is like, and then you quizzing your receivers and seeing if they're up to speed with what they need to be going into the game plan?
Yeah, I think that this year in particular, just trying to I've always done the scouting reports, but I think this year in particular, just trying to quiz guys, and and I've always kind of put like interesting facts in there, or whatever it may be, maybe something random, but each week or whatever. But this year in particular, especially because we've had a lot of young receivers and young guys, just to really be able to make sure that they're on their stuff and everything else. And so DK's done a great job of that. A lot of other guys too as well. But you asked about DK, he's done a great job about making sure that he understands the whole preparation process. You got to respect the process along the journey and what it takes to study, what it takes to prepare. And to be honest with you, teach guys how to learn, teach guys how to understand as much as they can and grab all that information, so that way when we're talking, everybody understands what we're thinking and what we're looking for. And he's done a tremendous job of that. And sure enough, it transferred in the last game. It transferred in so many games before, and for a lot of guys.
Without going too deep into the weeds, is there a little bit you can share just in terms of what you quiz them on? Is it opponents' tendencies, coverages?
It could be anything on the sheet. So it could be where the coach was from before and what years did he coach there. It could be all the way to this play that many years ago. Could be about just one particular player. It could be about the protection schemes. It could be about the routes that we're thinking and the plays that we're thinking potentially. It could be where somebody's from and how fast they are. It's pretty detailed. So and I'll give them basically 3 questions, and they got to get them right.
Is there a grading scale, or is it just pass-fail?
There's more to it than that.
How long does it take you to put those reports together?
It takes me. So I watch a bunch of film on Sunday nights, depending on if we're flying back home. But usually Monday and Tuesday, and then I usually write it up on Tuesday and kind of get it all together. So it takes a few hours.
Like Microsoft Word or?
Yeah, I just type it up like normal, like everybody else does, I guess. It's not on text though.
Everybody on offense, or just the receivers?
Everybody on offense.
And when did you start this?
I started that my rookie year.
And had you ever seen that before, or where was the genesis?
I just kind of started it. I don't know. I just kind of thought about it, just trying to make sure that I prepared. But I thought it was important to be able to give information to the other players and stuff. I think that's really important, to be able to not just study yourself, but also to share knowledge and also so that way when you're asking a question or somebody else has a question or whatever, we can all refer back to it. So. And it's grown. It started off at 5 pages. Now it's probably at 15. But but it's a cool process of it.
How was Darrell Bevel's reaction to that the first time?
Coach Bevel loved it. I think that was a big thing. That he really liked, and he was always prepared. So, we definitely talked a lot about it, throughout the week and that kind of stuff.
Your proximity to Green Bay when you were in Madison, how much maybe did you study Aaron's game and maybe try to emulate if at all?
I've always watched Aaron. I think he's the epitome of what success looks like, and in terms of being able to make plays and just his career so far. So, I love studying great players, and he's definitely one of those guys. He's one of the greatest to play the game, and you got a lot of respect for how he plays the game and how he does it. So, I've always watched him, and obviously being at University of Wisconsin, everybody was wearing 12 jerseys. So I got to hear a lot about him. I got to watch a lot of them, and it was always cool.
What's the area of his game that you kind of latch up to most when you watch him and see, kind of wonder how he does stuff or what?
Well, I think that his scrambling ability has always been remarkable. I think he's been one of the best to ever do it in terms of scrambles and throws like that. I think he's got a great clutch gene too. I think that to be great, you got to have that. And then, just some of the throws that he makes and how he throws it, it's a little bit unorthodox, to be honest with you. Not many people can throw the way how he throws it. It's kind of like he's playing tennis in a way, how he gets on top of the ball and kind of kicks his back foot back and rotates and stuff like that. So it's a little different in how he does it. He doesn't do it all the time, but when he does, it's definitely unique. So, yeah, he's got a lot of great traits to him.
In 2011, he was the MVP. Do you remember much about that particular year, about how he dominated? 15-1 back.
Yeah, I don't remember. I remember him winning MVP. I don't remember exactly, what he did exactly, but in 2011. But I'm trying to think where I was in Wisconsin at the time, right? I guess so. Where was I? Wisconsin. I was coming out of Wisconsin, probably something like that. So that year, I was in Wisconsin then. So I remember how efficient he was. He's always been efficient. He's always been great at that. He's been one of the most efficient quarterbacks, history. He's on top of his stuff. He's lights out. So he's a great player.
How would you describe yourself when you kind of get out of the pocket and throw from these unorthodox angles? He's a tennis player.
What am I? I don't know. I use a lot of more baseball stuff, and just kind of getting out and. If I'm throwing the ball to first base, second base, third, just trying to make the play, get the out kind of thing. Trying to find the open guy. For me, I think to be able to stop and start and turn and do all that stuff is something that I try to pride myself on.
You got to be pretty close to Jimmy while he was here. It's going to be good to see him.
Yeah, I'm excited to see Jimmy. He was one of my groomsmen in my wedding. He's a guy that I got to become really close with. Being a groomsman in my wedding was just to have him in there was an amazing time. It was a special thing, and he's been a great friend ever since, really honestly, day one we ever met. We share a lot of commonalities that maybe a lot of people don't know, but we just I really respect him. He's been one of my best friends since the day I've gotten to know him, and so. I always check in on him. I always text him every week, pretty much for the most part, just, saying great game or this or that, or just checking in on him about life or whatever. So, Jimmy's my guy. You okay?
What have you seen out of Kevin King the few years he's been in the league now? What can you say about that matchup for your receiver this week?
Well, obviously, they're corners. They got a lot of different guys who play. Obviously, Kevin from UW actually being here, he's got great hands. He's got great speed. He's got a lot of ability. So you got to know where he is and how he makes plays. And all their corners, really, they got a lot of great players.
You mentioned that you found so much consistency kind of moving in the pocket there. How have you been able to do that given the inconsistent lineup that you've had in front of you there?
Well, I think the offensive line is just doing a great job of battling. They're just doing a great job of keeping guys, away and just fighting and battling. And we're finding guys open. The receivers doing a great job of getting open, the tight ends and running backs. And, they're doing a great job protecting. Last game, we had one sack. They got us there on that one. I was just about to get the ball out. They got me. They hit me just the last second. But we did a really good job pass protecting. And I think Joey's doing a great job up front calling the stuff and making sure that we're on the same page, and me and him and the whole line. And it's a lot of fun. So those guys are really, the O-line doesn't get enough credit. I think that they've been battling and doing a great job, and especially with as much as if we've had to shuffle things over the past several weeks. Guys have stepped in. I thought George Fant did a great job last week. He was tremendous, just battling against some really good guys, and Ifedi was battling too, as well, and did a great job. Jamarco to be able to step in at left guard against some really good football players up front. Joey, obviously, in his battling back and forth with Cox over there. I mean, he's a great player. So it's been great. I think that's been really good for us. And then obviously DJ Fluker has been it's been good that his big body's in there, fighting the fight. And those guys have been allowing us to make great plays and do some special things.
Are you surprised by Pete's ability at age 68, his continued ability to relate to guys who are 40 years or more younger than him?
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. I was thinking about it probably last week, actually. Last week when we were preparing for the playoffs at the Eagles, and I'm just thinking about how vibrant Coach Carroll is. I remember, I think it was Wednesday practice, I think it was, just watching him run around, and and he's always chewing his bubble gum and throwing the football around, and just running from sideline to sideline, and just he's always passionate, he's always energetic, he's always consistent, and that's what makes Coach Carroll. That's what makes him great. That's why I love playing for him. That's why, in my opinion, he's a Hall of Fame type coach, and he's just been special. And so hopefully we can continue to do some great things. There's a lot more ahead that we want to be able to do. And I know he's passionate about winning. I know he's competitive as can be. And I know ultimately he loves his players. And I think that's why we relate to him. We have a lot of fun every day. And this is why this culture is, to me, the best in the National Football League. And it's really, really special. And we got a lot of special guys, a lot of special players, a lot of great coaches too as well. And so it's a great place to play.
You mentioned an expanded role for Marshawn. What would that mean for this offense this week?
Well, obviously Marshawn, he had great, that great run down the red zone, things that he can do. He had to cut the ball in the flat. He can just, there's so much that he can do, and he just brings that extra bit of fierceness to the game. He's a playmaker. And during the game last week, I said, I was talking to Shadi, and we're just, hey, let's make sure we get 2-4 going here. Let's get him, the ball a couple times here. And so we're just getting him the football. He's a great football player. He's always been amazing at the game, and he's a playmaker. He knows how to win. He knows how to make plays. So the best thing you can do is get him the football.
Between you and Jimmy, who's the better pilot?
Jimmy. Jimmy by long shot. The things Jimmy can do flying wise, I would never try to do. I'm not sure if it's because I got 2 kids at home or if because just Jimmy's that much more talented and he's been doing it that much longer. It's probably both. Jimmy's pretty amazing at flying. And so, like I said, he's my guy, and I love him to death. So I'll be excited to see him. Hopefully he doesn't make too many plays against us, but I know he'll be ready to roll.
Or do you have a favorite fun fact you've come up with in your scouting reports that you've pulled out of somewhere that you've thrown in there?
Oh man, it changes every week. It really depends on who we're playing. So I'll give you this, Joe. Basically, every week, so depending on who we're playing, I give an interesting fact about that team, or it could be something super fun, it's funny. It could be something about that city. It could be whatever. This week in particular, we talked about. The question was, who owns the actual, the Green Bay Packers, and how many people? And I kind of put a question in there about, about that and why is that significant? So that was basically the question.
Anything else?
Thank you guys. Go Hawks. Yep.